Oh, yeah. Yes, yo, you don't stop. Big John come rocking a short shot, baby. Call to the Pen HQ, the redheaded stepchild of the Hammer Betting Network. Rob Pizzola, the pizza man, bringing you the large round, baby, at John Laghezza. Get me at John Laghezza. What a creative handle. On the Bird app, any time of day, any day of the week, because we get it when we fit it around here. It is Friday, second half. My dude, Corby Craig in the chair. You know, one of the best parts of this industry is meeting the coolest and sharpest people like that I used to like follow and look up to in the West. And now, like, he's in my chair. What's up? Corby at Keep Betting Co. spelled out just like that.
Yep.
All the members in there. Corby, what's up, man?
Yeah, I don't know how you have so much energy for the new time, 8:30 in the morning. We're going to get after it, though.
Oh, man, I absolutely live it, man. I just live it. That's it. I just live it. This is it for me. This is the passion. OPMG, Brian E., Brian Rose. A few people followed us to the noontime slot. If you noticed, football and stuff, we're kind of shifting to the morning. I actually appreciate it from a content creator standpoint. Dude, I put out all this content. It freaking dies in 12 hours, right? I mean, and that's just the fact of the matter. The work we do, no one cares about it in 48 hours. So hopefully, I'd like to leave people with a lesson, maybe a laugh, something that they can take with them. Let's go get it, man. We got a lot of work to do. It's a full slate. The K leader that we're keeping an eye on FanDuel is not up yet, but my man Corby has some bets for us, and we'll just keep an eye on it. Let's just do the thing that we do, me and you, Call to the Pen crew. First up, it's the Friar Tucks. Those Padres in. Yu Darvish on the bump. On the road against Christopher Sanchez, Philadelphia Phillies. Corby, I'm like I'm an advanced pitching guy, and these are the games I generally like to hit because I think the public sees Darvish, the public sees the Padres. I'm into Christopher Sanchez, 2.8 ERA, 103 whip, all the indicators below 3.5, 4% walk rate. I love that, the control. The ball rate down at 32%. We like 72 first strike. Especially I like to bet first five. And if I'm looking for pitching, I like guys that get ahead. I like guys that don't walk anyone. Keep the ball in the yard. Sanchez he's been awesome. He's been really, really good. And Darvish has kind of been struggling because of those same things. 57 first strike. He just misses too much. He's not inducing chases. His ERA up near 5. San Diego offense is starting to come alive. And that's been the reason I think I've left this one alone. Do you like anything in this game?
Yeah, I will say San Diego's offense looks pretty rough as of late. I don't think that's really saying much, but there is one thing that they've done decent, and that's hit the slow stuff. So like their WRC plus versus the changeup, they're 4th in the league. So if there's a spot where I think that they can get right, maybe after the break, they hear all the noise. Like this is a team that probably is one of the 2 most disrespected teams for good reason. They've paid too much money and they can't win a game. So if there was a guy that they could hit, a lefty throwing a changeup slider, basically, that would be it for me, but I'm not running to the fences to bet that by any means. Sanchez's stuff moves a ton. I think that's his vertical movement on the changeup. If you look at Baseball Savant, is probably one of the most drastic I've seen. 44 inches of drop. So by all means, I'm not running to the fence to bet it, but I do think that there's a potential for the Padres to maybe get right, and look like they know what they're doing early here.
Yeah, that was, like I said, I like Sanchez, and I like to get behind these lesser known pitchers with cool like X stats and stuff under the hood. But I like to pick my spots too, especially this year. There's a lot of offense going on. I don't want to be challenging these good offenses, right? You can pick better spots. You don't have to bet everything. Again, especially the trend is your friend and the weather is getting warmer. Something really quick I covered at The Athletic that I was looking at. So the home run to fly ball rate in the major leagues has gone up every month. We probably expect that, right? The thing that I don't think people realize is the month we just experienced, right, was on par with the highest month of last year already. So we're just taking off where it already peaked and was heading down. Another tick or two in that league-wide home run to fly ball rate, the ball is going to start moving. And if you look at Ballpark Pal today and those kind of websites, there's a lot of park data that's just screaming. So I'm going to kind of leave this one. I don't think the strikeout leader is in this game. Again, San Diego not really striking out. The Phillies, neither. Let's go next. It's the Giants and Ross Stripling against Rich Hill and the Pirates. Yeah, if you're focusing on the K leader, I don't think it's here. I think you really got to go with the over or not at all. I really can't back either of these pitchers. Stripling, 6.4 ERA, 1.5 whip. Expected ERA at 5.75. Just really brutal. Righties in particular killing him. 860 OPS, 2.9 homer 9 against righties on the year. And he's kind of struggled on the road. 5.6 ERA for Stripling. We know Hill is he's just eating innings for a bad team right now. So for me, this is probably like if you're DFSing, if you're doing that kind of stuff, you might get some offense in this game. I'm kind of scanning over to my algo. Yeah, I've got runs scored in the front half, but these bullpens have both been really good. So this is another one. It's a little lean for me. You like anything?
Yeah, if you look into Rich Hill's numbers, first off, you're going to find some miserable stuff. I think that he is one of the worst pitchers in baseball, but you will find two interesting things. First one, he throws like 86, and yet still he's able to have 8 strikeouts versus the Brewers on the second, and then 5 strikeouts versus the Brewers on the 16th. So by no means do I think Rich Hill is 8 strikeouts good, but I do think that the Brewers might be 8 strikeouts versus Rich Hill bad. So that was through 5 innings pitched. So maybe come back and circle around the Brewers offense when you're looking for the strikeout pitcher. But I don't think it's Rich Hill that does it. I mean, I like if you watch him pitch, I have no clue how he struck out 8. I mean, he has a 282 expected batting average. His stuff doesn't move. It's all in the same speed dynamic. Like, he's not good. And yeah, this Pirates team is falling downhill fast. It's a team I've faded, but I think you're trying to catch a knife too quick if you back them, and there's not really value in fading them at this point.
Well, again, I got to just stop for a second and say I appreciate your style in that. There's a lot of, I don't know, I'm not going to call anybody out, but there's a lot of like phonies and stuff, and you see this like, because people are not actually betting this stuff or tying any kind of responsibility to it. Well, I bet this and I bet this and I bet this. And it's like, it really is kind of insane. It's really kind of insane. It's going to get people in trouble. So I appreciate, even though, you're probably a bit younger than me, that you have your head on pretty firmly tight. And I just appreciate it because there are people that I think we need to gravitate to, and there are people whose style I think we need to avoid. And again, my style is different from yours. And I'm not right, you're not wrong. We're just different. But I think there are core kind of principles when you're going to do content and stuff that matter. So Corby, again, we just appreciate you, man. All the few of the DJs that actually made it over to the live show. We got, trying to wake them up 2.5 hours early. They were up betting, who knows, Kazakhstani tennis last night or ping pong, who the hell knows with these.
I had to wake up too, so I feel you.
I mean, you didn't even know what day of the week it was. You were, although if there was ever a day a lot of people are off today. For me, I had no idea. I had no idea it was Monday.
I was pretty confident it was Monday before the show for everybody watching. John and I were talking, and I was like, man, don't woke me up this early on a Monday. But right. I now realize it is Friday. Now. So.
I'm still pretty confident it's Monday. All right, next up, this one's really interesting. I'm curious to your take because there's like an interesting theoretical in this one. So it's Sandy Alcantara last year, Cy Young. You mentioned disappointing teams. If we were looking at individual pitchers, it's got to be Alcantara. The ERA at 4 3/4. The indicator's not really helping him out. Stuff plus on the fastball's elevated. The walk rate is good, but the K rate is down. We didn't expect a lot of strikeouts, but it's really bad, below 20%. 13 K minus BB, not any good. He does get ahead. He has induced chases and kept the ball down. So you kind of say, wow, these are the things we like from Sandy Alcantara, right? 49% ground ball rate, 6% barrel, 0.8 home run. Like, these are all the things we're into. He's kind of struggled a bit on the road, but the indicators are meh. So I think you can see where I'm going to go. Same for Kramer, who people seem to like more than I do. I see the ERA up near 5, 1.4 whip. Expected ERA getting near 6. I have a ton of runs being scored in this one. But I always worry, Corby. So I have 2 questions for you. One, do you think we're going to get the runs that I'm kind of seeing? Jay, that's my first one. I should have buried the lead. I want to go over the F5 here. Right, it's 4.5, right? Let's go over to 4.5. So my 2 questions are, just, do you think Sandy kind of corrects? And then, like, when you get a signal on your model or however you do your system, that kind of screams, but then you check the book and it's a lot lower. Do you ever worry?
Yeah, 2 good questions. First, I think Sandy is an interesting take. I think I replied to you on Twitter about this, but I was stuck betting Sandy for a minute there. The issue, like as openly as it can be, is his changeup just stinks this year. Last year, it was his main pitch, a 169 expected batting average. This year, a 260 expecting batting average. It was his best pitch, bar none, last year, and this year it's bar none his worst pitch in creating runs. So he has a 318 average on his changeup. I think the biggest issue is the shift. The things that we're getting, like, he's never gotten a ton of strikeouts, like a 27% versus 4 seam this year. It's not like anything crazy, but he's always kind of needed to play into the ball getting hit in the right spot. So the shift has messed him up a ton. But if you watch him, like 98, he hits 98 pretty easy. He's hitting his location. Teams are just getting after him. And so it's an interesting take. I still think that he's probably pretty good. I need to see a few more. I've bet Sandy strikeout overs for like too long at this point. And
Yeah.
and so
Now, what about the model disparity? Like, do you just some people just get wide-eyed and say, well, I'm betting the hell out of this thing. Me, I'm kind of conservative. Sometimes I just take a second look. Because, again, my model's way over on the F5. You know, like I scale everything, and I'm basically as high as she goes.
Yeah, I think in baseball in particular, you should at least get some hesitation. I think in like a college sport or something that like there's very possibility that you see something that a market doesn't, by all means. But baseball, they know basically everything we know. This is a tight niche game that we're trying to get the fine lines of the fine margins. So if it's too different, I take a step back and look. But usually trust my numbers overall. In a market like the MLB, I would be more hesitant than anywhere else.
Really well put. Really well put. Yeah, I think, again, the answer a lot of times, I wonder if you have a lawyer in your family. The answer is it depends a lot of times. You know, well, you're a smart dude if you don't. Again, I don't think our K leaders here, both of these teams have shown pretty good discipline. I like to use 500 plate appearance samples. I put that in that sheet. If you look, that's just like, you know, the data I provide. You can get it on Twitter or whatever. It's still free one last day. It's going to be $20 the rest of the season. But these teams not really doing, especially Baltimore, the disciplinary stuff. Yeah, it's a awesome deal. The disciplinary stuff for Baltimore. Yeah, it's a ton of work. Whatever, man. I do it for the people. Yeah. I've been very lucky in this world. The disciplinary stuff for Baltimore is through the roof right now. You know, 10.5 walk rate, sub 30% chase rate. They're putting the ball in the air. This is the kind of team that I think is going to hurt Sandy in particular. And I know for a fact, ballpark also. I meant to keep that one open. You know, listen, another little lesson for people: for as much work as I do, I don't mind outsourcing to other smart people. Ballpark Pal does a lot of really great environmental work, and they've got Baltimore just through the roof today. You know, double-digit increase for home runs and doubles and runs overall. You got to pay attention to these guys. All the sharpest people do. So I'm over on this one. F5. That's my first play. I don't think the strikeout leaders here. Next up, this one's not on the board. We could just do it quick. It's the Snakes with shapes on their back. Ryan Nelson on the bump north of the border against the Bluebirds and the Bassett Hound. Woo! Man, Chris Bassett, what an up and down season. I know Jay behind on the ones and twos right now. He's just like, he's got to be palming his forehead. Dude, every time, now I like pitching. Every time I bet on Bassett, he's outstanding and they refuse to score for him. I swear to God, I could show you the games that we bet on him. Find his best games that he lost. When he went 7 innings, he struck out 13 guys, and they refused to score for him. Now, I'm going back to the well when this gets posted, if it's at minus 140 or better. Again, Bassett's been so good at home. 148 batting average allowed, a 482 OPS. That's a 2.4 ERA, 1/2 a home run per 9. Okay, let's say that again. Sub 500 OPS allowed. We know he's a top-end pitcher, so I'm waiting for this one to get posted. My worry is Arizona, they don't really strike out. They don't really, they take pitches. They don't swing and miss. So even though he has the high K upside, I don't know if he's my winner here. So I'm just kind of on the fence. What do you got, man?
Yeah, I kind of like him as a strikeout guy just due to the fact that his put away pitch is a sweeper, which is a pitch that's given a lot of people issues this year. The thing about Bassett is, like, if you look at like back end metrics, there's a time when I just really didn't think Bassett was very good. He's like a 250 expected batting average. His stuff, like his sinker right now is his best pitch, but it still has a 270 expected batting average. There's a lot of things that he doesn't have a ton of movement. He doesn't have a ton of speed. There was a lot of things that I just thought, like, maybe this guy isn't good. And if you watch him, like, his pitches all kind of flatline. Like, they don't look crazy impressive, but I think there has to be said something that he is just a pitcher's pitcher. Like, he throws eight pitches pretty consistently. Sort of the problem. And I think that, like, it's either he has command of all 8 and he looks amazing, or he's throwing 2 and then it's pretty. If he gets stuck down to 2 or 3 pitches, the tell is pretty easy, and I don't think that he has the stuff to throw 2 pitches. But if he can throw all 8, then by all means, you can have 13 strikeouts against the Brewers for sure.
Is that something? 8 pitches? See, I think right. It's not that I disagree with you. I think sometimes when he's because you put it really well, like he kind of whittles his way down to 2 or 3 pitches. But I think during that process, as he's cycling through the 6 that are not working, that's too many that are not working.
Yeah.
Right? Like a pitcher that has 3 and 1 is not working, you find out pretty fast. You just got barreled 3 times in a row. But if 5 of your pitchers are not working, that could be 2 innings worth of pitches. And it's just, again, like some guys, I think need to maybe narrow it. But again, when they work, like you say, he's had such success and top end. Let's keep an eye on Bassett. Yeah, you have a number that you like for Bassett, let's say, because this could be a fun game also. If he gets posted, I'd say if he's at like 18-1 or better, I think he's viable for the K leader because Arizona is tough to strike out.
Yeah, I don't want to sit here and act like I even know the numbers for the K leaders. I'm excited to see them post. So I've seen your
also.
tweets of them. Yeah, I've seen your tweets on them. I don't know enough about the market to even guess what the numbers are.
Fair enough. Generally, the favorites are like 4 or 5-1. There's a couple at the top. Most of the good pitchers get clumped between 18-25. Bassett, any guys that you've heard of, right? Is anybody that a normal person has heard of? 18-25, and then like guys that are big ground bowlers or kind of suck get pushed at the end. But because I've always had a lot of success in my career with futures tickets, playing long odds, I'd probably be a good golf bettor. Of you kind of cluster, right? It's like a roulette play. Mm-hmm. You pick a few plays, you adjust your risk so any of the hits are a win on the overall, right? It's mm-hmm. all a big hit. We had Aaron Savali, I think OPMG hit for 65-1 last week. When Savali again had, I forget what it was before the break. But you're into this granular stuff, and sometimes that's what it takes. There's things that the market doesn't necessarily see. Again, dude, we're in the age of really bad content creation for betting of people using like K rate and walk rate, and that's like it, right? So there's a K, and then the person on MLB Network, they post a -260 favorite, and then by the time you look, it's -325, and then the damn thing loses anyway. It's so ridiculous. It's just whatever. It's all so bad. All right, next up, this one again. I have, again, I worry about this one. So it's going to be a repeat of the question from before with Alcantara. It's the Trolley Dodgers from Hollywood, always up to no good. Julio Urias on the bump against the Let's Go Mets Go JV, Justin Verlander. It's been a rough go for Urias, man. Nearly 5 ERA. The whip is low. The earn run indicators are solid, below 4. But, man, all the disciplinary stuff is kind of getting out of whack. The walk rate's in place, but he's not getting whiffs. Way too many foul balls. His foul ball rate is up around 20, which is usually an indication. I meant to mention this with Sandy. That's another one with Sandy. If you're correct about the changeup. It's manifested in foul balls. He's not winning on the edges, and it's becoming fouls. And what does it do? It doesn't do anything for the pitcher. It just extends the work. It just gives the hitters more time to see that pitch. Urias kind of going through the same thing. Too many fly balls, too many barrels. And he has been atrocious on the road. 342 BA allowed, a 1,000 OPS. That's a 7.3 ERA, 3 home runs per 9 on the road for Urias, who's like thought of as a top 10 starter in pitching circles. Ask the fantasy geeks, not me. I'm into fastball diagnostics. His fastball is not any good. Verlander on the other side has been very good, but we've also seen things we can't imagine. 24 CSW, 53 first strike. This is not really the Verlander we've expected. He's turned it up a bit as of late, but his Sierra last like 8 starts is still nearly a 5. These offenses have both been good. Mets waking up. Dodgers, one of the best offenses there is somehow, regardless of injury. I have the model screaming. Public has this down at 4.5 F5, which is my play. I'm way over, man. Do you think these pitchers bounce back?
Yeah, I think Urias is kind of a guy that I have circled for this strikeout prop. I'm curious to see what it opens. If it opens a number that's just not relative to his name. If he opens with like all the big name pitchers, then by all means. But I'm hoping that he opens due to this idea that like maybe he's not that this year. His spin rates look great. I think the biggest issue here, and I'm curious your take on this, Sean, is that he throws a slurve, and it's never been tracked on Baseball Savant. It's just been a dash since he's been throwing it for like years at this point. This year is the first year that they started tracking it. My curiosity is, do teams now have more information on the slurve and can kind of put an idea of like, hey, this is where this ball is going to be? Because if you look at, I mean, he still has a 198 expected batting average on it, but like they're getting a lot more contact, and that's where he's getting fouled off. Is because it's such a slow pitch. People kind of know where it's going to break to. And they can just foul off the pitch. So now instead of getting those strikeouts that he was getting for the last 4 years, he's having to get foul off pitches and started throwing a cutter at this point. He hasn't thrown a cutter, I don't see, in his entire range. He's never thrown a cutter, and he has 95 this year. So he had to add something to make that work. But is that the reason? I don't know. Watching him pitch, I still think he's fine. So if I can get a really big number on his strikeout, like his daily leader in strikeouts, that would be a good spot. I'm curious to see how many innings he goes. But yeah, I still think he has stuff in the tank. The Mets are a team that like it has not been fun to watch the Mets. So by all means, I think that if he looks good, he could probably get a decent job done here. But yeah, towards the 4.5, I agree. The Dodgers offense, crazy. Verlander's a shell of himself. And I think that the Mets offense at some point has to wake up. So I do agree on that 4.5.
Yeah, cool. What was it? Damn, what was that? Oh yeah, the best compliment I have for you is you just made my notepad. That's why I got so derailed because that's a really great point and something I'm going to look into. I could give everyone a teaser. One of the things that I've been snooping around during my off-season work, which is part of why I always keep an eye on fantasy baseball, because Corby, I believe that's where, again, and I know you're into this stuff, I believe that's where a lot of the science is. And I think the forwarding of the understanding of the game is ball flight, things that you clearly understand. And I think there's where some edge is provided in the betting circles. So that's why I keep up on it. One thing I have learned, right? So this is fact. We didn't get like team names or specifics on either side, but what we do know now, teams are using Hawkeye in real time, right? The StatCast stuff, the Hawkeye stuff, in real time to identify release point disparities, to identify tipped pitches.
I have I have one little short story for you. I don't know if you go on.
Yeah, go, please. We're all about you, man. Go.
So you can see here, I have an engineering degree. And the whole reason I started this, the whole reason I started betting in general, I've never played baseball, never watched baseball. I don't really care sports bet. Younger me. And I was, 20? Sophomore, junior year in college. And the guy, like one of the teams who used Hawkeye for disparity was a AAA affiliate of the Braves, I believe. They were using it in 2018, and he came and he was like talking to us about like how it was in a physics class, and he was like how the ball moves relative, like what velocity does, what arm slots do. Like some pitchers will throw, like if they're having to torque their arm, they'll also move to the left a little bit or the right a little bit. And he's just talking about all these things, and I was like, man, like if only a AAA team is using this, like there has to be a way to use this information. Which I'm not saying that I'm like good at using it by any means, but that's my entire angle of baseball, is just like the idea of finding these small nuances, or like the best one, if you've ever seen the story about Joey Votto and Zach Greinke. Greinke was like, listen, I know that Joey Votto is the best in the world at reading rotation off of a ball. And he said that Votto could read it out of your hand, what you were going to pitch, better than anybody in the world. So Greinke would purposely throw just meatballs down the heart of the plate, because off the hand, it would look like it was going to be a curveball that's going to drop to the bottom. Votto was waiting on it. It would never drop. It would just heart of the plate. And Votto was never looking hard at the plate. So I think people don't give these batters, these teams, enough credit. But that's how I got started in baseball. And so like people talk about like all of these stats. Like I couldn't tell you anything other than like the Red Sox back in the day when they were fun. I didn't pay attention to baseball until I started betting baseball. So,
is that where you are? Are you in the Northeast also?
No, that's just like that's the only baseball team that I know. I live in Alabama, so
oh, cool. All right, that's cool.
UAB alum.
Oh, nice. There we go. Man, gosh, you would have really enjoyed. All right, and then we'll get back into it in a second, because I enjoy the stuff too we have the guests on, because it's always me just rambling about stats. I had Barton Smith on, right? So he's a physics professor out in Utah who has pushed forward some of this work with seam shifted wake. He's one of those guys. I found it very interesting. I brought him on. I don't care if I already know I look stupid, so I just bring smart people on. Hopefully I learn something. And he had like a ball and a stick and he was teaching us about Magnus effect and things that I don't necessarily understand. But the point of it was talking about the ball, and he was saying, now, so this is another one. I'll leave this and we'll leave it there. We'll leave like people going, oh boy, that he was saying with the tools that he has, right, that are available to engineers and physicists or whatever, like calipers or whatever, you could measure differences in the ball that are indiscernible to the naked eye. And if you were able to do this in real time as you got the balls, you could quite literally bin them for better for spinning, better for hitting, better for, you know what I mean? And make those balls come out when you're hitting and those balls come out when you're pitching or whatever, or go to different teams at different times. He wasn't implying that anybody does that, but he was just saying that because the ball is not uniform, right? It's not a machine uniform. It's not like 3D printed or anything, though there are going to be differences, and we can detect those differences, height in the seam, you know what I mean? Just stuff like that. The smallest little thing that we would never know, or even pitchers can't feel. So anyway, there is a bit more coming. I think that we could leave it with that is there's more in the technological and understanding side coming. And that's why I think some of the work that we do is really, I actually think it's important for the betting space because we're out there like cutting the weeds. I mean, there's people just betting 300 favorites out here. Me and you were like, we're blazing trails and stuff like that. Speaking of which, rate, review, and subscribe if you're digging the show, man. I mean, we just dropping dimes, obviously. Corby's a GOAT. Audio only people, 5-star reviews to the front of the line. That stuff matters more than it should. No one cares if we're funny. No one cares if we're engaging. No one cares how many likes you get. So press your cartoon fingers and stupid bells and all that stuff because it matters way more than it should. I mean, it's just a fact. Dude, it's a fact that matters, right? You know it. You know it. You're in the game. You know it. So I'm going. Oh, Jay, you know what? I got derailed. I want to go over that F5 in the Mets game. I want to. Corby said we're gonna be confident in our work, and I feel really good about it. Jay already got it because he, of course, is the man. Next up, I got another F5 coming. It's Corbin Burns. Sometimes I see the price. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Corbin Burns it started at minus 120. He's now moved to like minus 130, minus 135. He's a slight favorite on the road against Graham Ashcraft with a 6.3 RA, 1.6 whip, a 7% K minus BB, 57 first strike, 90 zone contact. I mean, righties killing him, 300 BA to righties, 297 BA allowed at home, 900 OPS, 7.95 ERA in Great American Ballpark. I know we're going to expect some offense there, and I know people love the Reds. I think the public is jumping the shark on the Reds here. This is not Hunter Green. This is not Nick Lodolo. This is Graham Ashcraft. He's not very good. Corbin Burns, on the other hand, is very good. Give me the F5 for sure, Jay. Like 100%, I want this one. Even if it made it to minus 140, which is kind of where I draw the line. And that would kind of be my other question for you. So give us what you got in this game, Corbin. And then I'm curious, when it comes to individual betting, do you draw a line for juice or do you not mind paying it? I'm not judging you. Again, I don't do it, but I've been trying to discover whether or not that's a mistake of mine. I want to be very clear. Not, this guy pays juice, get him. You know what I mean? That's not it at all. Because I may be doing it wrong.
Yeah, so first off, I bet the under 10 in this game. Graham Ashcraft hasn't
under in Cincy, ballsy. I like it, man.
Yeah, so Graham Ashcraft hasn't been great. He's actually a UAB alum, so I've watched too much of Graham Ashcraft. But his stuff, I mean, he throws 96, I believe, like 96 to 86 on two completely different looking pitches out of the hand. And by all means, it's looked miserable this year. Don't let me sit here and try to gas up a guy who has the seventh percentile on expected batting average. But I will say his stuff is fast. It spins a ton. Yep. And usually he has okay command, which hasn't been there really this year. But the main indicator, the main driver, the main reason that I think Graham Ashcraft might be my strikeout guy for the day, and I like this under is the other team on the other side of the field is the Brewers. And as I said, Rich Hill struck out 8 Brewers in 5 innings. So can Graham Ashcraft throw better than Rich Hill? I'm going to have to say yes in most cases. I think Corbin Burns has been plenty fine. I mean, he's 232 expected batting average. Like he's a plenty good pitcher. One thing I will say, just like on these park factors, and there's a lot of nerd behind it, but like I think Great American gets elevated too much at this point. Like Great American,
really?
Don't get me wrong, it's a park that is going to have a lot of home runs, but I think that this tops out in like the average of a 9.5. Like to start to see flat 10s, which granted, I'm kind of a pro in this in every ballpark. I think Coors gets overstated. Like anytime that I can get a first 5 under 7.5 in Coors, basically no matter who the pitcher is, unless it's like Chichi Gonzalez, I don't think any team should be a 7. I bet an under 8.5 in a first 5 this year, which is just insane to think about.
That is insane.
And I mean, Great American, like it's going to be hot, which I don't know about today. I haven't looked at the weather, but like you know that when the weather's hot, the ball is going to be flying out. But like altitude isn't crazy. Like it's just park dimensions, and I don't think it's that crazy of park dimensions. So yeah, I think that they are a little step behind Coors. I don't think that they should be within a run and a half, 2 runs of what Coors gets on a daily basis. So I think these are 2 good enough pitchers. I think the Reds offense has to flame out at some point. Graham Ashcraft is facing the Brewers, who I think is one of the worst offense in baseball. And so Graham Ashcraft strikeout props. I'm curious what the strikeout prop is. I would struggle to play.
We have that,
I don't
Jay.
know
You
how
can
many.
bring that up.
Let's see. Oh yeah, I'm not touching the 4.5, 5.5. If you could get like a really juiced 3.5, I would play the over. But 4.5 is probably right.
Now this is interesting because I'm going to like agree, but I'm going to disagree. So one, when these post, Graham Ashcraft is going to be at least 100 to 1, maybe 150 to 1. Well, I'm dead serious. He's going to literally be 150 to 1. So, like, when you say, like, oh, that's ridiculous. Who the hell is betting 150 to 1? Who is betting 150 to 1 that actually has a chance to win? Like, literally, if you're betting a golfer with 150 to 1, the guy has one leg. This is a bet that could land. Now, this is really interesting because where we have attacked the Brewers all year with strikeouts. Again, I have the moving averages handle because that's something I bring from trading, where when we have lots of data, rather than, we never want to overreact to the small sample behind us, but we do want to weigh it. So I kind of plot, and it's not just about last 7, last 14. A lot of times in technical analysis for trading, it has to do with the way those prices interact with each other. They can become leading indicators for trend changes. Brewers checking every box for positive disciplinary trend change. This is last 500 plate appearances as a team, right? Top 5 in K rate at 21. Number 1 in walk rate, 11.5. Top 5 in swinging strike, it's below 9. Top 3 in chase rate, it's below 27. In zone contact rate, top 8, and that's numbers at 88. Now, this is why you can't just say it's use the season or use the L7. That's why you can't do this, because there is no correct answer. These things move in waves. So I'm interested to see where I've been pulling back because of a bit of the more recent stuff. Like I said, I don't necessarily think you're wrong. So if we had it, Jay, I would have definitely said Ashcraft should go in the bucket for this one. Let's bet Corby's also. Let's get that under. I want to play with him today a bit also. So we'll get that under. Right? It's got to be. We should also check and see if anyone. Yeah. Like you said, flat tens.
Yeah,
flat tens.
That's cool, man.
Yeah. So also one thing we using BetStamp here. BetStamp.app/call to the pen. Tell him Big Johnny sent you. Yeah, I don't know. This thing just sells itself. It's a menu of prices with live links to saving money. I mean, something is just whatever. If you wanted to buy a Snapple and it was $1.50 on one shelf and $1.40 on another shelf, you're going to grab the one for $1.40 because it makes sense. And over time, you start getting free Snapples. So Jay's actually asking the Ashcraft. Oh, here's my answer about the juice because we didn't get to it. It's perfect. Would you Ashcraft's strikeout prop is listed at 3.5, which I know you like, but it's also minus 230. Talk to me about minus 230 over 3.5 for Ashcraft.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't play that. I do have a number that I made it, and I don't hate laying juice. I understand the principle behind it. But in a sport like baseball, I think that I probably don't. I wouldn't play it. I would look for a derivative off of it. Like, if you like the Rays today, there's a million ways to play derivatives of the Rays that are probably going to hit if they were to win. And also you can find just different angles. Like if the Rays are going to win 80% of the time, I think they're minus 320 at this point. I would assume that Tyler Glasnow is probably going to get the win, like as a pitcher. And so that's an angle to take, or like there's a million derivatives you can take. There are times that I lay a lot of juice, but it's not in baseball. Like the NBA draft, if you know that someone's going fourth, by all means, there are times that you lay juice, and Ashcraft to go over 3.5 strikeouts is not one of those.
Yeah, agree. All right, I got to giddy up because we spent time not today, just on other stuff. So next one, pretty easy for me. White Sox and Kopech on the road against Charlie Morton. Heavy favorites as always with the Braves. I can't really bet the Braves, especially gets tough with Kopech because he flashes. People don't ignoring the fact for like a 7-game stretch, he was basically the best pitcher in the major league. So that's his upside. The thing I think we need to keep an eye on here is how bad the White Sox have been as far as discipline goes. So you want to keep an eye on Morton's strikeout prop. You want to keep an eye on Charlie Morton to be the daily K leader. White Sox 26.5 K rate, last 500 PAs, plus 14 swinging strike, chase rate over 36, in-zone contact rate at 83. These are all really bad. So if Morton has the curve working, he could get the double-digit Ks and finish as the leader. Jay Shank, 44, what's up? Thanks for joining us at the new time. Appreciate your Fire Sports as well. Go ahead, talk to me about. I think I kind of got that one.
Yeah, just a quick thing is Kopech was obviously taping pitches at the start of the season. So for a while, you got a worse number on him, and I think he's a really good pitcher. So do you think the sample size is filled out probably at this point? I mean, we're enough baseball in, but I do think his numbers overall, if somebody was just to look at overall numbers, he looks worse than he is because he tipped pitches for 4 straight games. Yeah,
that's a really great point. Question, again, man, I don't want to get too much theory, but I love picking your brain because I love your take so much, man, is I've also noticed this year I've kind of found myself pumping the brakes on going up against the Braves or the Rangers. So just really quick, do you mind going? Yeah, you do. Okay, so before you can finish, we're getting the heavy nine.
I think I saw something that like the Braves average over the last month was like equal to an all-star starter. Like their whole offense.
Yeah, that was me. Yeah, that was
starter.
me doing one of the things that one of the many tweets. I tweeted something about the Braves again because sometimes my model I have to double check. You see it looks broken. So I don't just print blindly. The Braves, going into the break, were number one in WOBA overall on the year. Number one in ex-WOBA on the year overall. Number one in home WOBA over the year. On the ex-WOBA, and then lefties, and versus righties, and away. I've never seen a team dominate splits like this. Just don't go up against the Braves. Save your money. Next up, this one I like. I may have a couple ones here. I don't want to bury the lead. I meant to print this for my subs, but I was rushing with the new time. It's my boy, Brian Bellissimo, for the Red Soxums up in the Northern Quadrant. Love Brian Bayo, one of my big fantasy sleeper kind of guys. I have all my underdog teams. I'm hoping he's going to carry me to glory in the next month or so. Brian Bayo has been awesome. For some reason, he's posted at a minus 120 against Hendricks. This one's easy. I'm not buying Hendricks. 3 ERA, 1 whip. His Sierra is up there 5. Stuff plus is 71, 15% K. I'm just not buying what he's selling. I like the Red Sox offense better than I like the Cubs. The Cubs also do a ton of swing and missing. I think Bayo needs to go in the strikeout basket. So, Jay, give me Boston F5 money line. And we would be playing Bayo, I think, belongs in my strikeout leader. What do you like here?
Yeah, I completely agree. Two things, just short and sweet, because I'm a guest on a show, so I'll try to give like some nuggets. The main thing that I like in a pitcher is like, other than like the obvious, like there's a lot of obvious things that make a pitcher good, but the two things that I just love in pitchers, and if you see me talk about good pitchers, every single one that I like has this extension. I think people underrate the ability to stretch out and get as far down to the plate as they can. Kyle Hendricks, miserable. And then speed. Like Hendricks throws the ball, like what his average speed is like 82 miles an hour. So by all means, Hendricks is miserable. So give me a ball.
So Corby's not buying the stats. I didn't mean to hum and haw. Again, dude, I got to have you back on in the offseason when I'm doing the fantasy stuff. You really deserve a seat at the table here because I'm going to pick your brain, and maybe the two of us will have a 1 + 1 = 3 moment. I got to just do it really quick. Okay, so everybody knows Eno has stuff plus out there. I think it's more valuable for fastballs than the entire bin. That's a long story for another day. Bottom line is this. I do a lot of deep reverse engineering of the diagnostic work. I could not figure out why Josiah Gray was not listed at the top of Stuff Plus. He had the shape. He has the velo. He had everything there. What was he missing? The answer is extension. His extension is very poor, and believe that was enough to not only wreck all the model metrics for Stuff Plus, but it also is why he was going to get hammered. You know, and it's the truth that little bit. So, Corby, you really get it, dude. That was like a legit 80 grade sharp comment. I'm dead serious. That's the sharpest stuff that there is, because I had to figure it out the hard way, but it really is true. You got it. And Savant does a great job. They have it right on the front page. Check it out. You know, a lot of times it might answer your questions about a fastball. So I like Boston and I like Bayo. Next up, it's Savale against John Gray, the White Wolf of Winterfell. Texas just wakes up as a 150 favorite, even though Savale is better than John Gray. Like Aaron Savale is very good. And no one wants to buy it. I am buying it. I always like the stuff. He's always had good control. He's always been I shouldn't even say very good, excellent at suppressing contact. 295 xWOBA, 338 expected WOBA on contact, sub 5 barrel. I mean, it just goes on and on. And he's been dominant on the road. Don't believe the 4.4 ERA, 182 BA allowed, a 575 OPS. But you just can't go up against Texas. So for me, it was like, I just kind of flipped past these. I'm like, man. A couple of years ago, I would have taken Savale on the F5, maybe. Oh, dude, that's a new one. Is that F5? I was going to say now F5. So I'm going to say the spot you run and a half. So I'm fading this one. I don't know. What do you think, man? I find myself, I'm such a chicken shit with this.
Yeah, I'm not hopping on the Guardians here at this price, but I do think it's a miserable idea to fade the Rangers in most cases. So I would agree. Yeah. If you could get like a plus 150, the Guardians plenty good offense.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. I do think. Maybe as I kind of chop it down, Damani S, what's going on, man? We appreciate you. Everyone smash that like button because I'm telling you, we're going to get canceled. I'm just kidding. But I think you're right. You know, the problem is when you go up against Texas, you have to assume a couple runs. And the Guardians, you don't know if you're going to get it. And that's pretty much it. Texas and Atlanta just score against everybody. It doesn't matter. The back of the lineups are really good. Those 8-9 hitters are excellent. So next up, we're talking strikeout props. I guarantee he's going to be the leader on the board. It's the Flatfish of Florida, Tyler Glasnow, minus 300 favorite on the road against the Royals with Cheese and Alec Marsh. I don't know, man. I love dogs and I love betting. And right now I'm just making a face because I am about to do the man. I can't believe I got a guy like Corby on and I'm going to do the donkiest thing you could do. And Jay, just put the Rays in the bin. I'm going to pair the Rays with another favorite. I know I posted Rays and Yankees because it got us to even money. Those are 2 money line plays. The minus 300 is crazy. The run line is crazy. This one, Tampa should run away with it, so you probably should be able to bet the run line and move away. But I've been just terrified of run lines because of the ghost runners. I think it ruins everything. Plus, I don't like the pricing. So I'm a donkey. So I have the Rays money line, and I'm not going to bet Glasnow because I don't think his odds will be there. But one thing I do want to remind everyone of, if you're going to bet a pitcher to win the K leader, it's taking 10 strikeouts. With the favorites, check the alt prop for 10 Ks because it may be better than the leader, and you would hate to get 10 strikeouts from Glasnow, have someone else get 11, and you go home with Ugazza. So, Corby, talk to us, pal.
Yeah, just I put in the chat earlier that Glasnow's my favorite pitcher in the league and probably one of my favorite pitchers I've ever watched. And
awesome.
If you want an absolute emulation of what I just talked about, Glasnow 6'8", 100th or 99th percentile in extension. So he knows what he's doing. So him, McClanahan, and like somebody like Logan Gilbert. Those are the 3. If you weren't just like what my ideal pitcher is, it's any of those 3.
Towering. He's huge too, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's huge. That's funny you mentioned that. God, dude, everything with you is interesting. Stop it. I had Rob Friedman pitching injury up in here a couple weeks ago. Obviously, mad sharp dude. He gets it. He had a very famous what became very famous with Tyler Glasnow. I don't know if you've ever seen it. If you haven't, you really should. It's really interesting. The Rays fixed Tyler Glasnow by telling him to throw the ball down the middle. His stuff is so good. They're like, dude, aim for the middle, and it's gonna be wicked. And that, he took off. That was the difference between. That's the difference between the Rays and the Pirates. Sometimes, listen, I know all about being stupid to be smart. Trust me, I made my bones on that, so I get that part. All right, next up, Trevor Williams and the Nationals on the road against St. Louis and the Cardinals. This is another one. The model is just like screaming over. It was like run to the window and just bet the F5 before it moves. Jay, bring up those F5 totals for me, please. If it's 4.5, we want it right now. I mean, again, these pitchers are the Spider-Man, Jeff. Trevor Williams and Miles Michaelis each have a 4.25 ERA or worse. Each have a 1.3 WHIP or worse. Each have an expected ERA of 5 or worse. A Sierra of 4.75 or worse. K-minus walk of 10 or worse. It goes on and on and on. 90% zone contact. You're going to get tons of balls in play in this one. I like both of these offenses. We love Washington. They don't strike out. They make tons of contact. You don't get the power you like. But then I like St. Louis because they're waking up as well. 120 WRC plus, less 500 PAs. I'm not using St. Louis's season to date. They're up off the mat. Arenado was swinging the bat. Goldschmidt swinging the bat. Like Donovan. Like when they're ancillary pieces, Donovan and DeJong are hitting. Like I'm with this one. I'm way over the 4.5. Oh, God, man. See, I might have shifted this one this morning. I know when I print my damn, me and my big model's mouth. So, Jay, I'll take the 05. Let's just get it because I talk so much shit. But talk to us, Corby.
Yeah, I think 4.5 would be an amazing number here.
I got it earlier, yeah.
Yeah, the Nationals offense, you talked about them not striking out. That has been the surprise to me. I know this has been happening for the last few years, but they just play discipline is out of this world. And at some point, I think they're going to have to catch up offensively. So, by all means, I think that's a good buy spot for the Nationals offense. At some point, they're going to creep up. Like if you're not striking out, you're putting balls in play. Like you at least get lucky at some point here.
One last question, because I really do consider you a legitimate sharp. And I've been asking this question. It might just be as simple as no, thank you. Some guys that I mentioned those 150 to 1 odds, the eyes started glowing. Could you ever even back a Williams? Could you ever even back a Michaelis? I think Michaelis has like a 9K game on the log. He's probably a better example, regardless of the Nat stuff. But like, would you ever back a pitcher you can never dream of hitting it? They don't usually hit, but anything could happen.
If there's somebody that I really liked, like I don't like Graham Ashcraft enough, but there's some lower level pitchers that if they were in there, it all at the end of the day comes down to like I don't care how they've done in the season, I don't care what they've done. It's how as good is their stuff, and do I think that they can stay in enough innings? So by all means, like if like somebody that looked identical to Yuri Perez as they talked about in the chat, was to come out there and throw the stuff that he throws, and he's the height that he is and the extension that he has, and he's getting a 150, even if he had been giving up 20 runs in a year, like by all means, I would take that.
Yeah, he's one of those guys landing in like the 18 to 25 that I was talking
about. For sure.
And you're like, wow, we missed, and I guess that's like the gamblers thing. We just missed a couple times, but then we got the Savali. We got a couple of these already this year. I wish they put them out more often. I love this market. It's a really fun way to play. I know you're not supposed to talk about having fun when you gamble, but it really is a fun way to play. And if you get a late game, next up, Yankees and Carlos Rodon against Austin Gomber and the Rockies. The people in the chat, they just love my pitching analysis for Coors. So you go get like a piece of toilet paper and you do whatever you want with it, rip it in half. You could set it on fire. You could throw it in the garbage. You could stick it in a hospital, mop bucket if you like, wherever you think is disgusting enough. I don't even bother with these games as far as trying to pitch in them. I have the Yankees by obviously a mile. They've killed lefties. Their offense is starting to wake up. Volpe has been a linchpin for them. Stanton also lately is getting going. I know I'm like a Yankee fan. Trust me, I hate them. I think they stink. But right now they're hitting, and the Rockies really suck. Gomber really sucks. So I paired the Yankees with the Rays for plus money. My question for you is, we hear people talk about Colorado disproportionately affecting strikeouts. Even Kershaw, when he dominated in Colorado, but I think he only had 2. What would you avoid do you avoid K props in general in Colorado is my question.
Yeah, I talked about, like, I'm not big on stadium information, like as much as the market probably, but Colorado's strikeout is a thing. It's just Magnus effect. They're not able to get as much spin. So if a pitcher's throwing like high primary fastball or somebody who doesn't use spin rate, I think they'll probably be fine. But like somebody Rodon is going to have issues with his breaking stuff. If you watch like a Braxton Garrett throw in Coors, he's going to struggle because all he throws is spinning stuff. He can only get to like 90 miles an hour. But there's a lot to be said on the spin in Colorado. I think this game, I agree with you, John. It's Yankees. I would take the Yankees run line just because there's supposed to be a lot of runs, projected at 11, and the Yankees are really big favorites. So I think that's a pretty good blind spot to bet.
Yeah, the Yankees are my highest implied team total. I didn't get to the prop stuff because it was too early, but you're gonna get rings on like Volpe and Gleyber Torres today. You're gonna get rings on Harrison Bader for sure. Like Bader is a lock for total bases, and again, those markets get juiced. So sometimes I just look to pair base hits because again, the BABIP is so positively affected in Coors. Again, total bases with walks and stuff can get you in trouble. So that's just something for people. You can follow me all day, everyone knows that. I like to post prop stuff. I'll have that up a little later on in the day. I have a couple new hours now. Next up, JP France and the Houston Astros plus 130 dogs on the road against the greatest player of all time. His name is Shohei Ohtani. If you haven't heard it, Yankee fan telling you Babe Ruth could get on the 4 bus and take a walk with that. It's not even close. Corby, doorbell may ring. Let's get into it. France, 3.25 ERA, 1.2 whip. But, the Sierra up near 5, K- walk ERA as well. 10 K- BB, 10 swinging strike, 39% ball. These are the things we generally go after. He has been good around the edges and dominated lefties. This is France. JP France, 212 batting average allowed, 555 OPS, 0.3 homer 9, and very good on the road. That's been the reason I've avoided. There's money coming in on the Angels on that run line, on the money line. I'm a little bit worried because France has been so very good on the road. And the LA offense it's kind of whack right now. Check it out. There's 500 PAs. They're bottom 3 in K rate. That number's a 28. 15 swinging strike as a team. 227 batting average. That's really bad. 29% hard hit rate. Those will get you sent down, and that's the entire team. Without Mike Trout, they've kind of gone into a downswing. Now, right now, I'm kind of thinking about maybe going under the F5, 4.5. Before we lock anything in, Corby, you like anything? You have any particular takes on France?
Yeah, before you lock in that under 4.5, let me try to convince you on what I'm going to bet in this game. And I actually really like this bet. I locked it in this morning, and it looks like I got a better number since we've been on the show. The Angels team total under 4.5 minus 120. I don't know many cases that I think this offense can score 5 runs versus an average pitcher, more or less a guy in JP France, who I think is pretty good. You get 133. Caesar's Pinnacle showing a 120, but a lot of people can't bet Pinnacle anyway. So, I think that this Angels offense, I just don't think without Trout, without Rendon, I think that there's a lot to be said about Ohtani's finger. He only pitched, I he didn't pitch in the All-Star game, and then he only batted once in the All-Star game. So I think there's a lot to be said about his hand. So I just think this offense isn't a 5-run offense by any means.
Yeah, I think we're both there. I'd like to add a little bit to the love for Corby. We're taking them tailing you, homie. Houston bullpen has been one of the best in the game on the season. Number 1 Sierra, top 3 in K rate, number 1 zone contact. Last 48 innings, I used last 14 before the break. 0.92 whip, a 173 batting average allowed, 30% K rate, and 0 losses. I love that one. Again, Ohtani is great. They're going to avoid him like the plague. The rest of that offense is kind of really subpar. Again, I just like I think France. These split things, home and road for the young guys, I think matters sometimes. I don't know what's going on. Maybe he's partying.
Oh yeah, John, check this out. This is what I want to grab. It's signed Ohtani bat.
Oh, is that we went? I was like, oh man, maybe last night's diner stop.
No, it is only appreciating in value, huh?
That's really cool. You might want to get that in a little plastic tube, my friend.
Yeah, I have a frame. I just went and grabbed it to show you the show.
That is sweet. One more thing on Ohtani, because I'm like Mr. Baseball ubiquitous, and like anything that has to do with baseball and money. Like if there's any way that you can add baseball and money, I'm into that. I'm hearing a lot of people ask me about Shohei Ohtani cards and stuff like that. Do not buy the American rookie card. You got to buy the Japanese rookie card. You can get it PSA graded, and it's a little expensive, but I think the sky's the limit for a guy like him. So seriously, that's the biggest mistake with Ohtani collectors. Love the sign bat. That's going to appreciate. I agree. Not that I don't think the regular rookie cards are going to, but in card collecting, people want the rookie card, and that's not the Topps card is not the Bauman ain't the rookie card. He's got cards going back to 2013. It's like a 2-sided thing. It's really awesome. Hit up the guys from Prospect Live have that awesome card show. Next up, we got 2 games left. It's going to blow through it. All right, this one's going to be interesting to see. This is the line I'm most interested in as far as the K stuff goes. It's Kenta Maeda on the bump against Paul Blackburn and the A's. Kenta Maeda is the ultimate positive regression candidate in the league. 5.18 ERA, but Sierra 3.75. Expected ERA 3.75. 25K to only 6% walk. These are very good numbers. 20% came at his BB's great. 28 ball, 34 O swing, 83 zone contact. These are all really, really good. 1 homer 9, 300 xWOBA on the nose. And excellent the last 30 days of a 1.6 ERA. I think Maeda should mop up these A's who have completely gone in the tank. They don't walk. They chase too much. They absolutely suck. 85 WRC plus, last 500 plate appearances. But maybe most importantly, dead last with a 272 expected WOBA against righties last 30 days. The A's are circling the drain. They just called up a couple of youngsters, but what are you going to expect? They also strike out anyway. So I think Maeda is a good pop for the strikeout leader. This line wasn't posted, but I'm interested in maybe the Twins run line also. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think also Blackburn strikeouts. The Twins have been striking out like crazy.
Good call. Do we have? Is any of that up, Jay? I'm sorry to cut you off. Good call.
I was looking. It's not up on a Betstamp, but like I'd be curious to see what it is. Like, I mean, Blackburn. I don't love much about this Athletics team, but I mean he has good stuff usually. But the issue is how long can he go? He usually is a 5-inning, 6-inning kind of guy. And I think that if you're going to win the K props, either you have to be disgusting for 5 or 6 innings, or you have to go a little bit longer. So Blackburn would be an interesting take.
Yes, and I got one for you. You're truly a member of the Call to the Pen family here. We've mentioned the bully metric. This is something I use when you add first strike and chase rate O swing when they equal 100. I think that's a great metric that no one ever taught. I kind of made it up, whatever. Blackburn checks that box, and you know what, people, again, Corby, sharpest tool in the shed. Blackburn is my late pick for today. He's going to be 100-1. We're going to bet Paul Blackburn. At very least, he's going to be 50 or 65-1. So 100% we're going to get with Blackburn again. 16.5 K minus BB, 65 first strike, 34.5 O swing. Again, he's not a strikeout pitcher, but that's how you get to it against bad teams. You get ahead and make them chase your garbage. Wow, 5 minutes. We're going to land this thing on time. Next up, I don't know if I saw this one listed either. Detroit Rock City, those Tigres from 8 Mile and Erod on the bump plus 160 dog against my man Luis Castillo. I just obsessed with Luis Castillo and minus 200 favorite. I don't know where I could go with this one because I really do like Erod. I really don't like the Seattle offense. Like I said, I'm in love with Castillo, and I think the F5 line got posted at 4. So I'm kind of leaving. Yeah, it's even down to 3.5. So I think that's really my question for you, Corby's. Also, I love how you mentioned that before. That was super sharp. Under the 7.5 in Colorado. Do you have any parameters for the low end? for myself, I'm not going under a 3.5 ever, ever.
Yeah, I won't bet an under 3.5, but I'm not as quick to just hop on an over 3.5 because there are some pitchers that deserve it. Basically, the unders are kind of I think a 3.5 is like a Garrett Cole on the mound versus another pretty good pitcher. Here, these are two really good pitchers. So by all means, I think 3.5 is fine. The only thing I have circled for this, make it quick, is Erod. I think that Erod as my daily K prop or daily K leader. I think that's my go-to. So if I had to circle one for the show, because I know that it's not out yet, Erod would be my guy. The Mariners have struck out a ton as of late. And so I think Erod is my guy there.
That's another really, really good one. So yeah, I think I'm leaving this one. Again, I'm leaning on the under. I don't really have the guts to bet it ever, like you said. You know what? Sometimes that's the model messes with your brain. That's why I always like to ask smart people like yourself how they deal with disparities. Because if you model, and again, this is what I'm always trying to explain to people, that the model is not to be taken literally, right? It's a range, it's a scale. It's never going to give you zero. It doesn't work that way. So you're never, if you're modeling, you are never going to be under a F5-3. It's just never going to happen. You're never going to happen. Even, any player against any team is going to be around average. So I know people kind of bust my chops around that all the time. Teoscar, Fire Sports has great numbers against Erod. I'm going to look at that later on. See, another lesson for people, I generally don't go for player props, even as much as I'm not a big BVP guy, but even if the stats are there, if the implied team total, and I don't think the pitching matchup is there, that's just the way I've gotten tripped up betting props, Corby, is, I love him against lefties in the park and this and that. But again, the rest of it might not add up. The bullpen might be tough. And then you find out, damn, I kind of barreled and I walked and I'm losing, and you're not getting 5 plate appearances, you're only getting 3 or 4. Anything on props before we get out of here? Because that's pretty much it, man. I want to thank you. I want to pump all your work. I know you're really awesome.
I appreciate it. No, I've been kind of silent on the social space. I've been just working in the dark, getting ready for college football. So no, I think we're good. But I think that one interesting last note, and I apologize for kind of going out of order, but Oakland, we brought up this idea that they just pulled up a lot of people. I think that's an interesting time to see a lot of guys fight for their job. So a guy that I've faded all year, Shea Langoliers, you can bet runs and RBIs on local sports books. The under, no matter what the cost is, they were pricing that at plus 100 for basically every game. Shea Langoliers to score a run or an RBI, which he's not doing. I think he did it twice in June. So by all means, I play that. But I think that with another rookie catcher up, I wouldn't be surprised if he looks good. He's going to clean it up a little bit with his job on the line. So it'll be a fun thing to watch. Is at least does Oakland have a little bit to try in the tank for their job?
That's a pretty good drop on the lane. Although I thought you were mentioning when we have Matty Williams on, he'll mention juice reducers, things he uses to add into parlays. Man, when George Kirby was under 1.5 walks, that hit 35 times in a row. Luis Arias under a strikeout. The guy goes months without striking out, And again, it happens, and you might bust a couple parlays, but they run for so long. That's another really sharp one to be. Again, man, I come from betting the totals, and that's not it anymore. And I'm trying to adjust to, as they open the menus, like you said, there are different ways to attack these games. So Corby, that was just an absolute clinic, bro. For the little bit, man, that was really, you put on a clinic, dropping dimes. Really, I get sick with the anodyne content. Your stuff is core your stuff is nutritious. I think if we look at content in terms of food, that's a great analogy, because it'll all maybe fill you up for the time being, but did you get anything from it? Will it benefit you going forward? Dude, yours is micronutrients full of protein. Mine a little bit more belly. But some people out there dishing out the pure fast food. So maybe mine's a homemade pasta, right? There's some good stuff in there, but maybe a little not as good for you. Yours looking really good as that hair, man.
Tastes delicious.
And that's what it's all about at the end of the day. So from Corby, at Keep Betting CO, my dude, hopefully we can link up again. And Big Johnny Stud, Jay Coop on the ones and the twos, Rob Pizzola, and the New Time, everybody in the chat, we do appreciate you. Again, rate, review, and subscribe. Get up in the comments, press the audio stuff, because we want this show to come back, right? Because everyone's having such a good time doing it. Keep an eye on that K-Prop leader and scan the board for our picks. We'll check you on the Twitter streets. I guess that's it. Enjoy the games. Enjoy your day. When we're done with the book, enjoy the pay. And remember, when you work this hard, it feels a lot less like luck, yo. Peace.